And the Adobe Premiere little basic tutorial. You might notice my screen looks a little bit different. That is because from the file management video and the other videos that used to be here were filmed in 2019, and now we are on Adobe Premiere 2023. So I had to update these videos. So the file names might be a little bit different, but the concept's there, and it should still be very easy for you to follow. So if you just watched the file management video, it talked about how you kind of set up everything to get ready to start a project, and now we are ready to open Adobe Premiere. I have it down here in my dock, so I'm going to click on it. It takes a few seconds to fire up and open, right? So that's something you got to kind of sit on. You can see it looks pretty fresh. This is going to be your new screen when Adobe Premiere opens up. It has kind of projects that I had been working on previously. It tells you when I was working on them. What we're looking for is to start a new project. So we're going to go up here to the left and hit new project. And it's going to take me to a new screen. There's going to be some like stock footage and things like that you could actually practice editing with if you wanted to start a practice project. But I do need to name my current project, which we'll call it, let's see, editing tutorial. Let's see if I could spell. I spelled that wrong. Let's back that off. Tutorial. And I have to navigate it to the spot, the folder, that's the project folder that's created for this project. So I'm going to go back to the drive. This is one of the hard drives that I was using when we were even shooting that original video in 2019. I renamed it for, instead of Telev 115, now it's DM 115 editing tutorial. It's in an editing tutorial spring 23 video, and you can see these are the basic files that I originally had started, right? You got your project folder, your cuts folder, your raw footage folder. There's a music folder. I've added a sound effects, graphics, and stills folder just to kind of see how you lay it all out, or how you can lay it out. The other thing that's a little bit different is that I've actually numbered them so that they are in the same order they're in the order that I want them to appear in. So you can put it in any order you'd like, but you'll notice here I still don't have a project in there. If you look here, I have no cuts. If you look here, the Maverick folder is there. And if you look here, the song is there. Okay. So what we are going to do is put this project in the project folder that goes along with this particular editing assignment or project that we're working on. So I'm going to hit choose. And then that just tells it that that's where it wants it to go. And then you still have to come down here and create that project. So here we are. It opens up into a pretty blank screen. We are going to do a few things in here to get the project started. And this is what you're going to be doing before you start editing anything. Okay. So I have this kind of blank file or bin right in here, and I have to start creating things. So the first thing I like to do is start creating bins or folders. So that way I have a place to put things in the way that I want. So here's a bin. That's what we're looking for. We're going to go File, New, Bin. And it comes here. And then I'm going to call this Timelines. Timelines are the edited sequences. So you could actually create different sequences of the same material if you'd like to, and you want to keep them in an organized place. So I create a bin called a Timelines bin. Then I'm going to create a new bin that is my raw footage. Okay. And then the only other folder or bin that we're going to need, so it's File, New, Bin, is our music folder. So any asset, any media, anything that I'm going to be using that's different than the others, I'm going to create a new bin for it so that I can keep everything organized inside of Adobe Premiere. Okay, so you can see here I have no items in any of my folders. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a timeline or a sequence. So I went into my timeline folder, I double clicked it, and I got nothing in here. And I'm going to go back up to File, New, and I'm going to go to Sequence. And my sequence, I'm going to name it. So right down here it says sequence name. So I'm going to call this editing tutorial spring 23. And I can't spell. So there we go. Editing tutorial spring 2023. And then you have all these like file types. These are codecs of cameras. If you know the camera file type that your camera records, like if it's a ProRes file, RAW, and you know all the different aspects of it, then go ahead and select it, right? I know one of the cameras we shoot at Santa Ana College, it creates AVCHD files, and you can pick which one you want to pick. At OCC, it's different cameras, different people using different cameras. So you don't need to know the camera or the file type. We're gonna have a chance to correct that and add the proper information later, and I'll show you that in the next video. So right now I don't know, so I'm just, it's right here, it's on ProRes 4K 30, which isn't actually going to be right, and I'm going to hit OK, and it creates a timeline up here in the bin, and then it also created a sequence or a timeline down here on the bottom right side of the screen as well. So if I go out and I use this little button right here, this folder, to kind of click my way back out, now you can see I'm back where I originally started, and I go here to double click on timelines, and there's my editing tutorial timeline right there, which is this right here. This timeline right here is this timeline right here. It's the same thing, just different ways of looking at the same thing. So the other thing I have to do is add footage. So I'm going to double click on my raw footage folder, and I have an empty folder. And there are two ways you can import stuff. So the first way is I can go up to File, and I can import. And then I'm going to back myself off here and go to the original folder. It is right here, then right here. And then if I go to raw footage, I have my Maverick folder, and I'm going to take the whole folder, and you can see there's video files in there. So I'm going to take that, and there the folder appeared. If I double click on that, here's all the video files that appear. Okay, so I'm going to back myself out, and I'm going to go into my music folder. And now the other way you can import stuff is you can just navigate to the file without going to import. I got to go basically the same thing. I'm going to back myself all the way in. I go to music. There's my one music folder. I'm just going to drag it into the bin. So now I have my timeline right there. I have my raw footage folder right there, and then I have my music in my music folder. Okay, so now we have everything placed where it needs to go. Here you can look at these files in different ways, right? So down here, this little folder right here that I'm clicking on would actually create a new bin. So if I clicked on it, it will add me a blank bin, right? So I'm just going to click that and delete it. Down here, these are different ways of looking at what's in your bin. So this is more of a like a list version of what's in there, right? And it gives you a bunch of information about your clips and how long they are and all that good stuff. So it just depends on how you want to look at your footage. Here's another way to look at it. And here's a way to look at it. So I like this way, so this is where I'm going to keep it. And then also there's another folder here where you can add new items. And here it would be shortcuts, a new sequence. So if I wanted to add a new sequence, I could do that. Adjustment layers are things that you use for effects and color grading and things like that. So there's a few things you can do with that new button, which is down here. Okay, but one thing I want to get to real quick before we move too far ahead is we haven't saved anything. Now, saving is an important part of the process because if you just work off the project folder that we created, if anything ever happens, if there's any corrupted files or anything kind of goes sideways with the file, you basically have to start over. So with Adobe Premiere, one of the things you can do to help avoid that is you can save different cuts. So right here, I'm going to go File. I'm going to go Save As because I've never saved before. And I'm going to go into my Cuts folder. And it's already called Editing Tutorial. So I'm just going to add Cut 1 in front of it and save it. And the whole idea here is, let's say I've been working on a project for a couple weeks, and every 10-15 minutes I save a new cut version. So now I'm up to cut 27. And then I come back on another day, the next day, and I open up cut 27, and it's all corrupted. Something happened. There was some file that I added or something that I did in the cut that it didn't like, and now my my cut is all messed up and I can't open it. It's not reading. It's not working. Sometimes that kind of stuff just happens. Okay, well, that's cut 27. Well, I've saved cut 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way down to cut 27. So now what I can do is I can just go back up and open up cut version 26, which is before the corruption happened. And now instead of having to start from scratch from the very, very beginning, now I can start with wherever I was when I saved cut 26. And although that's not perfect, at least I'm not going to have to go back to the very beginning. I'm going to be pretty far along my project, and then I can just reestablish new cuts along the way. Okay. And so that's the whole purpose of saving multiple cuts. So let's say, so right now I haven't actually done anything. I haven't added anything. I haven't moved anything. And I'll show you this again in the next project or in the next video, but I could go right up here and save as again and see how it says cut 1. I can just switch that to cut 2 and then save. And then if I go up over here, which is where I'm going to go the next time I need to work on my project, I'm going to go over here. I'm in 115. Oops, not there. Here he goes where I want to be. If I go into here and I look in the cuts folder, I have cut 1 and I have cut 2. Okay, so that they'll just keep saving right along the way. So you can save and just save and just save and just save, and then every once in a while, every 15, 20 minutes, save as instead of just save. And then you're like saving a new version that's got a new kind of title to it. Okay, so that's all we're going to cover in this one. Hopefully that was all understandable. We're going to look at navigation and basic cuts and things like that in the next video. If you have any questions, please reach out and let me know. We're going to move on to the next video.